hearts and someone changed the rules, 'cause the Joker wears a Trump suit.
Good evening, everybody. How's it going?
Hello.
So, welcome. Thanks for joining us, folks. My name's Kevin, Mr. K. Over here, there it is. This guy here is Rusty Mattias. I guess you'll see our names down there. Rusty Mattias is the producer of this this record we just finished. So, Mr. K is what you're going to be listening to tonight. In Event of Moon Disasters, the record that just came out this week, and yeah, so I'm going to be debuting it all acoustically tonight, in a much flashier outfit with a much longer beard. Right on. So yeah, so stick around. We're going to be running the concert, and shortly after, or sorry, right after, immediately after, we're going to be answering questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, just feel free to add them on the platform that you're on there. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you are in cyberspace, and you'd like to get in touch with us, let us just know your thoughts, or yeah, if you have any pressing questions. I got a lot of questions about what's going on over in Rusty Land there. Anyway, yeah, so sorry, Rusty, did you want to speak up for a second there, say anything?
I'm just excited to hear how you represent these songs in a live setting, man. I can't wait to see the show myself.
Right on. Yeah, well, we stripped them down with acoustic guitar and piano solo, so it's kind of like a little bit of an intimate way to hear these songs back, with the production kind of pulled back and the more in the state they were when they were written. So happy to share them with you. So stick around, folks. I'm looking forward to sharing this concert with you, and I'll answer your questions back here with Rusty as soon as we are done.
Woo!
Good evening, folks. I'm Mr. K, and I'm going to play you some songs from my brand new record, An Event of Moon Disaster, just came out earlier this week. This first one's called Lonely One.
It started with a broken heart, and I buried that feeling alive, and dug it up later in a diamond mine. I never held a diamond before. I didn't quite understand that true love was more than a rock on a hand. I don't want to be the lonely one. I don't need to be so lucky. I don't want to be the lonely one, just satisfied in my mind. On the shore of a forbidden lake, I got a thrill from the tug on the line. You pulled me into the water to find. I swam with you out to the moon, faster than the earth is spun. Your love is a perpetual setting sun. I don't want to be the lonely one. I don't need to be so lucky. I don't want to be the lonely one, just satisfied in my mind. be so lucky. I don't want to be the lonely one, just satisfied in my mind. I don't want to be the lonely one. I don't need to be so lucky. I don't want to be the lonely one, just satisfied in my mind.
So tonight I'm going to be playing through a selection of all songs from this new record, Reinvented Moon Disaster, and it's this album is a concept record. It's all the songs are interconnected, weaving in and out of one another, and another reason why I guess I'm kind of calling this an unofficial launch tonight is because I don't have my band here with me, and we're not linking all these songs together kind of like they are on the record. Tonight I'm going to be breaking them down one at a time, and I think I might tell you a little bit of some of the stories behind them and this project altogether too. And this album is built around finding hope in darker days. And this next song here is called Hundreds of Dollars.
I'm on a red-eye west tonight, at the first glimpse of a star. My shadow's eastward bound, headed back to where you are. Still I'm on the search for something I may never find, blowing in the wind on a road I left behind. Where there's hundreds of dollars, thousands of roads, and a million stars, God only knows why I wish on one that didn't fall. Thank God the price of gas is down, and I got work in every town, from the foothills to the shore. With every mile I miss you more, and the sunset playing on my dash was more than I could take, and led my eyes to tear and caused my heart to wake. But there's hundreds of dollars, thousands of roads, and a million stars, God only knows why I wished on one that didn't fall. On the day I had a wish, I placed it on a star. It must have been a satellite in the universe so far. And so I'm on the search for something I may never find, 'cause it always brings me back to the one I left behind. Where there's hundreds of dollars, thousands of roads, and a million stars, God only knows why I wished on one that didn't fall. I've taken my chances, stuck in a life between a one-horse town and an endless night on the highway, just wishing I was home.
This was the song that kind of, I would say, spearheaded the whole Mr. K project. For 5 years, I was touring as Kevin Roy. Roy is my middle name. In many ways, this project is kind of me getting back in touch with my identity and stuff. My real last name is Kratsch. Kevin Kratsch is my last name. And Mr. K is kind of a way of paying tribute to that, but also to my... I'm also a school teacher, so that's kind of, and I live in a schoolhouse. So I'm playing songs from this record here, Invented Moon Disaster. Maybe I'll hold it up there for Buyo to shoot. And that little yellow house there, that's my home out in just north of the town of Lorette. And the house that my wife and I, she's also a school teacher, she's also part of my live band. The house we live in is actually a schoolhouse built in 1896. It's a historic building. It's got its own Government of Manitoba webpage and stuff. It's pretty neat. But back to Darker Days, this song here was kind of, like I said, the song that started the whole Mr. K project. I grew really apart from the music I was writing as Kevin Roy, and this song here kind of came to me in the middle of the night, and it was probably the most vulnerable and poignant song that I'd ever written as a musician up until that point. And I sent this song to my producer, Rusty Mattias. I didn't know him at the time, and I sent him this message just saying, you know, I want to write this record. This is one of the songs I want to do. It's a pretty vulnerable song. This album is about, you know, finding hope through these darker days. And the reply I got from him was actually that he was just walking out the door to clean himself up. He had been battling some demons with alcohol, and his liver was not doing so well, and the doctors basically told him that he, you know, he needs to stop, or you know, it might compromise the length of his life. And so he did. He sobered up and spent some time working on himself there. And then when the timing was right there, he called me back up, and we got in the studio and we started working on the record. And this was that song that kind of, it was a song that came to me when I needed it. It was a song that I'd like to think was shared with him when he needed it. And it kind of deals with the challenges and the struggles that go along with anxiety and depression, or whatever demons it is you're battling. This one's called Darker Days.
It's not the way I wanna feel, at least I felt, so I know I'm real. How long it's been, I just can't say. I wish I knew it's not the only way. Trembling hand, I write this song. My eyes are red, my head is clear. Waking up is my biggest fear.
Thanks, folks. So as I said, this album is kind of a, it's a journey. It's a, like, I like to refer to it as kind of like a pendulum swung through the hardships of these darker days. And from that song, it moves on to finally finding that sleep. And this next song is a tune called Nai Nai Land, open parentheses, Luna's Lullaby, close parentheses. And Luna is my bulldog, and my wife and my bulldog, she's 4 years old. We named her Luna after the moon. She has a perfect spot about yay big on her back. She's actually on this album cover here too. I don't know if you'd see her in there, probably not. You'll have to check it out on your own maybe. And she has all these other little dots that as she got older, these other spots that have kind of emerged. We like to call them her stars. And this album, when I was in studio, I was working on it with Rusty Mattias, and as I said, we were both kind of at a place where we both kind of needed, someone to just hang out with and get, help us kind of reconnect with ourselves and find ourselves. And in the studio, it was just the two of us. It was kind of like a therapy session. Every day we go into studio, we made sure we were in our comfiest cozies, which I hope you are all wearing right now too. Being at home, hope you got your house coats or whatever it is. We wore house coats to studio some days, and we made sure that we were taking 8-hour shifts in the studio. We weren't working overtime. A lot of studios don't have windows and are can be pretty cave-like settings, and we made sure we worked, every few hours we'd take a break and go outside and get some fresh air and whatever it may be. And this next song is, as I said, it's about finding that sleep after you just can't be awake anymore. And when you're laying awake and you finally, it's, as I said, it's a lullaby, Luna's Lullaby, Nai Nai Land. It's time to close your eyes and lay your weary head and drift into the night. Jenna, June, and Ben, let Uncle Kevin's band send you off to Nine Island again. If you hear the falling rain, you see the headlights passing by,
all part of the show. In the symphony of night, let it carry you away, send you off to Night Island again.
Thank you very much, folks. What I wanted to mention, I totally forgot before that last song when I was talking about my doggo Luna. So she actually plays on this album. Rusty and I did this whole record in studio, just the two of us doing the instrumentation of all the different guitars and bass and things like that, with the exception of our good buddy Glenn Radley, who played the kit drums. Otherwise, it was Rusty and I, just the two of us, doing the harmonies and all that kind of fun stuff. And there is one other artist though who did play on this record, and that is my dog Luna. And what I mean by that is Luna doesn't bark. She's a pretty quiet dog. And when she has to go to the washroom, she goes through our back door, and she smashes her bulldog head against this little like ice fishing bell we have tied on a string. And that's how she lets us know that she has to go outside to go to the washroom, or she eventually started conditioning us, I think, just to go outside. And anyway, what I did is I got up one day and I recorded her. First thing she does in the morning when she gets up, she's the last one, or she's the first one in bed and the last one out of bed. And when she got up, I set up a recording apparatus at our back door and recorded her hitting her head against this bell to let me know she had to go outside. And what I did is I took this bell sound and I weaved it into every time the lyric "moon" is sung on this record. We weaved in this sound of Luna ringing her bell into the soundscape of this record. So if you want to give a listen to what these songs sound like, with the full band arrangement, including my dog, it's available all on streaming services now. The album came out February 2nd, and one other thing too, with the album release, I just released a video as well. You can listen to the whole album on YouTube while watching foxes, baby foxes. When the pandemic struck in March, I found myself getting hit with another bout of anxiety, and it was starting to weigh on me. And in our property where we live, we have a fox den, and every year these foxes, there's a new litter in this den. And so what I did is, when I was working from home, as all of us were doing, every morning I got up at 6 in the morning for 3 months, 3 hours a day. I'd pour my coffee, I'd get my camera. I'm also a photographer as well, if you want to see any of that stuff. I have that out on my social media stuff you can check out on your own time there. And anyway, I set up my camera just to take some photos and stuff, but I started doing videos and ended up with hours of footage. And I did a music video for this next song. This is the single we led with. It's called Harmony. And I did a music video with those foxes kind of splicing it down, but I had so many hours that doing this 3-minute music video, I just felt like I had so much footage that was just unseen. So what I did is I've done the whole album with the extended scenes, and you can check that out on my YouTube channel. HD fox cub footage, you get to watch them over 3 months, kind of getting older to the sounds of this record. Anyway, this next song is called Harmony.
I wasn't trying to be a dreamer, all I wanted was some sleep. 'Cause my eyes are growing tired of what became reality. I I dreamt the circle had been broken, a rusty link that held the chain that brought us back to square one when we could have used some change. I saw harmony across the land, people building up what we had down, changed our mistakes and we finally moved on. You didn't take me for a dreamer till you got lost in my eyes, on a hard ship tossed in the wind. On every rising tide you saw the places I was seeking and the shores that have no names, 'cause eyes that hold the ocean, they hold a deeper pain. I saw harmony across the land, people building up what we had down, changed our mistakes and we finally moved on. Wasn't trying to be a dreamer, all I wanted was some sleep, 'cause my eyes are growing tired of what became reality. I saw harmony across the land, people building up what we had down, changed our mistakes and we finally moved on. I saw harmony across the land, people building up what we had down, changed our mistakes and we finally moved on. Thank you very much. I'm gonna head over to the guitar. All right, so yeah, this next song is called Tamarack, and it's a song about tree identification, specifically conifer identification. Being in Manitoba, we have a lot of different conifers, and I learned that the answer is all hidden in the needles. If they're flat, they're firs. If they're square, they're spruce. If they're in a pair, they're pines. Anyway, yeah, I hope it helps you with your tree identification going forward. There's a new live video with my wife and I singing this one too, from our backyard. I've been running these backyard sessions through the pandemic, just a way of, my wife plays with me in my live band, so it's kind of nice that I'm in lockdown with you know, one of my band members, which is really great. So yeah, that one, it should be, I think it's out already. Check out my YouTube there for that. We're playing on a frozen pond in our backyard, sitting in a canoe with our dog duffing in the middle and kind of passing out and drifting in and out while she's listening to us singing. Anyway, this one's called Tamarack. Started in the shadows of a cone-bearing tree when I took you by your little hand. Was it pine, cedar, spruce, fir, or tamarack? I never really understand. You said the answer's in the needle. Some are short, some are round, some are flat, and some are square. A good alliteration to identify the pine as a pine grow together as a pair. Don't you cry, little tamarack, your needles are gone, but they're gonna come back in spring. Here's a little lullaby to pull you through the winter till you hear the songbirds sing. Spruce by the fence line was feeling pretty square, no songbird in his tree. And the fir was flat when he tried to sing out a high lonesome melody. The cedar out of place, getting red in the face, with the woodpecker chopping up his bark. And the poor little tamarack, naked in the fall, left to shiver through the winter in the dark. Don't you cry, little tamarack, your needles are gone, but they're gonna come back in spring. Here's a little lullaby to pull you through the winter till you hear the songbirds sing. Don't you cry, little tamarack, your needles are gone, but they're gonna come back in spring. Here's a little lullaby to pull you through the winter till you hear the songbirds sing. Thank you very much, folks. Hope you're enjoying yourselves out there, and wherever it is you are, I hope you're safe and cozy and with the ones you love. And it's a real pleasure to be playing music again. I really lit up when I saw that email that I'm being summoned for a show, and I couldn't be. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else than where I am right now. And I thank you very much for joining with me here. All right, well, this next song I want to play for you is actually one of the early songs I wrote. I wrote the song when I was still performing as Kevin Roy, and this is one of the songs that kind of tipped me over the scale to. It was very different from the things I was writing, and kind of pushed me into the kind of defining, rebranding, whatever you want to call it, starting up this whole Mr. K project. And the song's called Game of Hearts. And I actually wrote this song shortly after Tom Petty had passed away. And the day Tom Petty died, I was actually up in Northwest Territories in Inuvik. I was playing a Home Roots concert series up there, and in the morning, we were having our coffee after the show, and we were on our way out shortly. The first thing we saw, our news feeds lit up on our phones, and we saw the news that there was a shooting at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, and it was at a concert, and a bunch of people, innocent people who were watching their favorite bands, were shot and killed. And it struck us. It hit us really hard. And then we got on this plane, and we flew down to Dawson City. And then when we got off the plane in Dawson City and we turned our phones back on, it lights up again, and it says Tom Petty had passed away. And it was just the weight of that news was just a lot. My buddy Logan and I, who was on tour with at the time, we had a long drive that day to get back to Whitehorse, and the only way we knew how to do it was to put on Wildflowers, Tom Petty's Wildflowers, and we listened to that album on repeat as we were rolling through the Yukon heading back to Dawson City. Anyway, I wrote this song shortly after that day, and each verse is kind of about a different, I guess, a different scenario pertaining to environmentalism and so on. And the last verse is the one I wrote for that day. Anyway, this one's called Game of Hearts. And someone changed the rules, 'cause the Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. white north receding, and there's only so far to go. The glaciers tear and disappear into the undertow. And would you spare some change for the polar bears that head on into town? 'Cause the coffee shop down the block will have the only ice caps around. And I feel I'm living in a game of hearts, and someone changed the rules. It's the Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. We tried to hunt the salmon run to feed our fellow man, but the water winds and took our lines, they got snagged on the dam. And so we cursed them all with the childish games they're playing with the wild. Red Rover, call the salmon queen over. And I feel I'm living in a game of hearts, and someone changed the rules. 'Cause the Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. When the devil knocked the windows out of Mandalay Bay Hotel and let bullets drain like acid rain, he headed back down to hell. And I'd rather been with Mary Jane learning how to fly, but my tears they fall for Uncle Tom and the other 59. And I feel I'm living in a game of hearts, and someone changed the rules. 'Cause the Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. And I feel I'm living in a game of hearts, and someone changed the rules. 'Cause the Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. The Joker wears a Trump suit and he towers over you. Thank you. All right, I got one more song for you. So this song is called Mr. K. Thanks again for listening, folks. I'm Mr. K, Kevin. I look forward to chatting with you all soon, answering your questions, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you soon. I hope to take the show on the road when we can. Hey, hey, Mr. K, we don't want to go to work today, because the sun is shining and it looks like it's here to stay. I got a smile a country mile, I got the grass beneath my feet, and I'm flying around both feet on the ground, living on Easy Street. Got nothing but breeze to shoot, I got acres of land to boot. Come on down and we're singing do-do-do. Hey, hey, Mr. K, we don't want to go to work today, because the sun is shining and it looks like it's here to stay. Got the moon running around the yard, and she's weaving through the trees and stars. We'll show you around if you get uptown to the little country home of ours. And if you're feeling down today, no Google Maps can't display. We're in the little yellow house at the end of the Milky Way. Hey, hey, Mr. K, we don't want to go to work today, 'cause the sun is shining and it looks like it's here to stay. Hey, Mr. K, we don't want to go to work today, 'cause the sun is shining and it looks like it's here to stay. Hey, hey, Mr. K, we don't want to go to work today, 'cause the sun is shining and it looks like it's here to stay. Thank you so much, folks. It's been a real pleasure playing for you. I'm Mr. K. Kevin's my name. I look forward to chatting with you soon, and thanks for joining us on your evening here, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you so much. We'll see you again.
Yeah!
Hey, how's it going? I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. How you doing, Rusty? You enjoyed that?
Oh, Kev, that sounded so good. I know it's so hard to interpret a full production into just one person and one instrument. You did such a great job. I totally enjoyed every second of that. Great job, man.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed that out there as well. I have to say, when we were watching Nine Land there, Luna was poking her. Oh, what? Oh, we're getting treats delivered for Luna here now. Anyway, Luna was a little bit curious how I was like traveling through space and time, and there was two of me and one was on the screen, and anyway, she was a little that part. But anyway, yeah, no, that was a real treat. I hadn't seen that yet, so that was I was seeing it for the first time with you all, and yeah, it was a really cool experience. What I do want to mention too is I know we talked about, or I mentioned that there's a new video for Tamarack. That video is actually going to be coming out on Thursday this coming week. So that video with Avery and I freezing our butts off in the canoe Thursday. Be on the social media for that one. It'll be out soon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Hey, I can see there's some questions here, or there is a question there. Do you want to take that, Kev? Can you see that?
Where are your questions? 1 second.
In the comments here, we have a question. Hey, Kevin, do you still have your orange Volkswagen? And have you ever visited Killarney for dubs on the lake?
Hang on. Okay, questions. I'm not very good at the technology thing here. So questions from audience. Do you still have Orange VW? The Orange VW. So that's from my that picture, or that Orange VW bug is from the Flavor Country Ranch, actually. If anybody's listening from out there, shout out to Langenburg, Saskatchewan. Really cool space out there. So that's their Orange VW bug. Every time I go out through that way, though, I've played some shows out there. Wonderful space, and I took those photos there. Same with the ones with the spaceship and stuff too. That was all out from that place. So Laser and the crew out there, those guys are awesome.
You've told me about that place before. I've heard many things about that place.
Really cool place. What was the other question you had? Have you ever visited Killarney
for dubs on the lake?
What's dubs on the lake?
Does it mean dubs? That's my first.
I don't know. Who asked that question? Is that Killarney Turtle Mountain Arts? Yeah. Maybe you could clarify what dubs on the lake is. I don't know what that is.
I had a question, Kev, but I think I answered it myself while watching your show. My question was going to be, was there a song or a part of your album that you went into the recording envisioning it turning out totally different from the way it turned out on the album? And I already know the answer to that question and which song it is based on.
That's a great question. Yeah, well, I think the obvious answer that you're leaning towards is probably Game of Hearts. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. And that was an amazing performance. That was arresting. I loved it. It was a really good job.
Avery and I were watching it together, and she was saying she thinks she likes the acoustic version of that one better than the version
really?
that's on the record. If you like that acoustic version, there is one on. It's on streaming services only. It's not on the actual CD, but we did record it as a reprise. And my aim is I would love to be able to do a vinyl release of this in the coming year some point. If there's a demand for it, then that's definitely something I'd like to have happen. And that's a song that I'd like to add on as a little kind of.
Oh, great idea.
But back to your question, what you were saying is actually the one I was gonna say was "Lonely One," the first song we did. I remember taking that song to the studio with you, and it was only about half finished at the point when I brought it to the studio, and you just said, "No, this song is actually done." You just are. I don't know if you said I was an idiot, but you just said no. That song's actually done, and like we did some tweaking to it. But I remember we had some ideas of like. Testing out some kind of like Traveling Wilbury-esque kind of production sounds to it, and we had some ideas, and it just didn't cooperate with the song when we started recording it, and it was one of those songs that kind of just took on its own vibe or its own essence as we were recording it.
I remember because I knew that song, it's the first song on the record, right? Lonely One. Yeah. And I remember that being like sort of will it make it to the record or not? We don't know. And then it becomes the first song on the record. And I think it was because we stopped trying to force its square into round holes or whatever and just let it be itself. And it's one of my faves on the record for sure. Awesome.
Yeah. I was really happy with how that one kind of took shape. And you know what, like the record in whole, like as a whole, like when I came to you with this album, I think I remember telling you I had this idea of like kind of Neil Young in the 70s, but with like production of like, you know, George Martin. Like I really want, I mean, obviously that's a really high standard to achieve. You know, but that idea of like pop sparkle or a little flair. Yeah. Obviously you've got a little flair happening all over here. I can't wait to see that studio space. You got. Cool. Rusty's been to space. I don't know if you guys have heard or not. So
watching from Mexico. Cool.
Wow, cool. How's it going? Send some warmth our way. It's freaking
so cold here today.
But like that was one thing. What I wanted to get back to is the production of this album, and like I kind of brought these songs to you, and I heard some parts of kind of how I wanted the production to go. Obviously, I gave a bit of direction with that. But what I really liked in working with you on these songs is that I think up until this point, I had really kind of tried to make my songs fit into a certain shape that I kind of had predetermined for them. Whereas with this, I think I wanted the songs to be a little more organic, and I wanted them to tell me how they were going to sound. And I really appreciated that with working with you. I think that's one of your, you know, many strengths as a producer, though. One of your big strengths, though, for sure, is knowing how to just respect the song and let the song tell you how, you know, it should be coming to life, you know?
Yeah, thanks,
as opposed to getting it into a certain sound.
I remember another memory of the recording of the record is it seemed like a timeless amount of time. I don't remember it taking a long time. Actually, I do remember it taking from about, because I had just gotten out of detox, and it took from about May until September, I think, when we were done. But it felt like a beautiful, awesome summer. It was a great day.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think it really, I felt I really grew as an artist, as a person through that experience with you, and getting to know you and getting to know those songs more intimately as we, you know, breathe some life into them. Sorry, I see there's comments here coming in or things.
Yeah, we're having a love fest about ourselves here. We should answer some of these questions.
So awesome, Jess, love the show. Hey, Jess. Thanks for checking it out. Rob, what's Rob say here? What song was the most fun to record, and where'd you score the sweet tux jacket? Okay, well, let's answer those questions. The most fun song to record? That's a good question. Do you have any moments that kind of stand out as being like just an exceptional? You know what? I think the most fun thing to do is the Mister K thing at the end.
Yeah, that Definitely. Was fun. Because we were recording a party, so we were making a party.
I highly recommend, if you're going to give this album a listen, to hear the whole production of it. Do it with headphones on and really kind of, you know, maybe deprive your other senses. Really focus on the on the soundscapes. And so what we did with Mr. K is, if you listen to that song, there's a lot of like, it sounds like you might hear voices in your head. Well, that's because there are literally voices going on. Rusty and I.
Yeah, I forgot the way we did that. Go on. I'm excited.
So yeah, like what we did with that was, I had this idea of, I wanted to sound like a production wrap up at the end. I wanted to sound like a carnival. I wanted it to sound, if you remember that last song, Mr. K, it's a pretty circle of fifths for the musician people out there. That's kind of what the song follows, and it kind of gives it that kind of carnival kind of whatever vibe to it. And yeah, so what we did is we recorded, I think there must have been about a dozen or so scenarios where we would put on these voices and sing the hey Mr. K, I don't want to go to work today. We sang it in trying to be like kind of Valley Girls, and we tried doing it like in our
deepest manly voices, and then
deepest, church kind of singing, what do you call it, like singing hymnals and whatever. So yeah, we sung all the characters, but before we sang each take, we kind of brainstormed, okay, who are these people, what are their names, what are, where do they come from, why do they sound this way, and like it just kind of,
I specifically remember one of us yelling at the other to wrap a cable, or maybe we were saying like, Lloyd, go wrap the cables already, you jerk.
And we just kind of peeped certain elements that we really liked. I remember I yelled, Brian, I think I yelled my brother's name in there. So yeah, there's all kinds of goofy stuff going on in there. So to answer your question, Rob, that was the one that was the most fun to record, I think. Anything with the harmony stacking. So Rusty and I did all the vocals and stuff. So any of the introduction, say for example, to Game of Hearts with that that thing, for example, like we did a lot of like just 12 voice plus harmonies of just different vocal things, and I think you really helped me push some of the boundaries there. Like it's something I probably would have never considered doing. And some of these tricks and stuff that like were done in with like Queen records and things like that. Like I don't know, I kind of thought of myself as more of a a folky kind of guy up until hopping in the studio with you, and then things got a little cosmic.
Well, I hope it's okay, man. Did I ever have a great time recording it with you?
Oh man, I'm super proud of the stuff we put together there, and this album is forever kind of, I guess, going to be a bit of a bookmark in my life of that chapter. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. The Sweet Tux Jacket, that is a shout out to, well, my mother-in-law is, I think I saw her comment there, Michelle Aramchuk. Hola. So yeah, that was a gift from Avery's mom. I guess she saw it and thought that it would be well suited to this guy. There is Michelle Aramchuk.
There's another question here about playing in a certain decade.
Oh, cool question. Yeah.
They say here, can you find that there, host?
Yeah. If you could play in any decade, which would you choose? I mean, I think the obvious answer would be sometime around the turn of the 60s into the 70s. I've always been really fascinated with that era and the countercultures and I think, yeah, if I could play in any decade, I think that turn of that late 60s into the 70s, when music was really, it's quite revolutionary, and and speaking up and yeah, I love the music that came out of that era. I think it's very there's a lot of really strong stuff, stuff that is very transformative in shaping. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I never know if you're like looking right at me or if you're just like thinking.
Should I try the freeze?
No, don't fake me out like that again. No, I was just thinking about decades myself, and yeah, of course, 60s and 70s. Yeah, that's where all the music that we're all inspired by came from. Yeah. I instantly want to go like 80s and 90s though, because I feel like the speakers were better in the 80s and 90s at the arena shows, and the sound would be better. And it was before auto-tune, so it was like real musicians. Not 2020. That's not the decade to tour. I know that much.
Any songs? There's a good question right there. Just came in from Grant. Any songs written after the recording session started? Yeah, there was. Mr. K, the autobiographical tune at the end there. That was one that I remember. That wasn't written. I just knew I wanted to add. I wanted to kind of wrap this album up with that song. And I think I had probably had a bit of the chorus idea in my head. But I remember hammering that one out while we were kind of in between studio sessions, and then that was, I think, ended up being one of the last songs we recorded. So yeah, we did that. I think everything else was written before we got to studio. Lonely One and Mr. K. Mr. K I wrote after, and Lonely One was written. I thought it was half written when we came to studio. You told me, no, it doesn't need a bridge. It just needs 2 verses and a chorus, and it's dandy. You went with it.
Did I say that?
If you're missing a bridge, if you feel like you're really missing a bridge section in Lonely One, you have that
My
guy.
bad. My bad.
Blame. But
I was talking to Glenn Radley earlier today, who is the drummer on the record.
yes.
And he had a question to ask, which was, when you were going into the studio, did you have sort of an era or a genre or a decade of production style in mind? Like he was asking very much about the drum sound, which is, it's very specific on the record. It's very dry and close and tight.
Yeah, I think Glenn did absolutely everything I wanted him to do. Everything he really. I heard drums in my ears on how I wanted to sound, and he really hit the nail on the head when he jumped behind the kit and started laying it down. But to answer that question that Glenn had about era and stuff, I'm a big fan of Ringo. I love that swingy, skippy kind of stuff, and I think I remember giving him a few samples of some drumming that I liked and stuff, and there's definitely some Ringo stuff in there, and I think he really brought that flavor.
He totally did. Yeah, he really did.
Totally. And I think there's another song there. I saw First Venue You'll Want to Play When Things Open. That's a great question. Man, I don't know if
Okay, Winnipeg venue.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely something in Winnipeg would be great. I'd love to, like,
I'm asking you, what's the Winnipeg venue?
What's the Winnipeg venue that I'd like to play? Oh man. I always thought, I've always thought it would be really cool to play the Burt. I've never been in the Burt. I would love to play the Burt. First venue, though, realistically, that I'll play when it opens up. Who knows, though? I don't know. I'd planned to do an album release at the Park Theater originally. That's what tonight was supposed to be, and obviously that was not able to happen given our restrictions and the way things went. I really need to. I think I mentioned it when I was closing up there, but I really do need to thank the Killarney Turtle Mountain Arts Council for giving me this call and kind of definitely saving the day here. I put so with this album, I put calendars out as well before the album came out, and I had it marked in there on February 5th that there was going to be a live stream album release show. And when the Park Theater, when we had to close that down, there was not going to be one, and I was devastated, and I was like, what am I going to do? And then I got this wonderful message from this fantastic arts council, and they saved the day, and thank you for providing us this space on the internet to broadcast and share the music. And anyway, I'd like to do an official album release kind of thing with everybody, all my close friends, and I'd like to see you in person, and I'd like to get you on stage with us too, and do these songs the way we produced them and recorded them. It's a lot of fun playing them in a live setting with the full band.
I think that we have to wrap up in 5 minutes. I'm not sure. I think we were supposed to say 5 minutes after 15 minutes. Am I wrong?
Okay. Well, let's,
I'm happy to keep talking all night long.
Yeah, there's more questions here too. In an alternate universe, if you were born to 2 famous musicians, who would they be? Alternate universe, if you were born to 2. So if your parents were 2 famous musicians, is that how you're interpreting that?
Yeah, that's what I interpreted it as. I choose Robert Schneider from Apples and Stereo as my dad because I messaged him today with no expectation of him emailing me back. And that's my answer.
Oh man, I don't know. What did I've been watching a lot of music documentaries recently and stuff, and I was watching the one, or I was listening to a podcast too, the Broken Record podcast. If you haven't listened to that yet, it's a great podcast with Rick Rubin. Malcolm Gladwell's attached to it as well from Canada. Malcolm Gladwell. I forget. I'm blanking on the name of his podcast now. No, what's Malcolm Gladwell's podcast? Revisionist.
Revisionist. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so but yeah, I was listening to one on Tom Petty. It was with Tom Petty's daughter, and just like listening to the craziness of like, you know, growing up with that circus of like tour, like, cause like I guess she was on the road with them and stuff, and they were like a family, and like I don't even know if I'd want to be born Robert Weeb. I don't know if I would want to be born to two famous musicians, because that would be nuts. I kind of like my sleep. I'm more of sometimes I think I should have got into writing children's music, so my shows would be done at 4 o'clock, and I'd have my evenings, and I could be in bed before 9 o'clock. Speaking of which, I got to get to bed. No, we have more questions here, I think, to answer.
What's first, lyrics or riffs?
What's first, lyrics or riffs? I try to get it all at the same time. Is kind of how this album came to be. Usually, so for example, like a song like Harmony, I wrote that chorus. It was just something that I like to think that we're, I mean, I'd like to kind of think that we're like conduits to other energy and stuff, and like we can, like, we're like antennae that can pick up different things. And like when sometimes you just get hit, or I feel like sometimes get, I don't know about you as a writer, Rusty, but like sometimes you get hit with these just like a melody, but there's also lyrics that kind of just like seem to attach.
That's the best.
It.
That's the
And
best when
like,
that happens.
it is, right? And definitely like Harmony was a thing like that, and Darker Days again was just something where it's just I don't know, it's just like intuitive playing. And I've been doing actually a lot of writing recently, and I have some demos I'd love to share with you soon. And
Yeah,
I'm super excited to get back in this. I know this has just come out like 4 days ago or whatever, but I am so pumped to get back in the studio and start laying some of this stuff down. I just showed Avery some of the tunes the other day, and like what I've been doing is I keep notes on my, so this is my songwriting practice now, is I keep notes on my phone and voice memos. So I've just an ongoing, anytime if I have a lyric or something just keeps coming to me, I'll write it down. If it has,
and they're probably incredibly unorganized and not labeled very well in your phone notes, right?
The phone notes, yeah, they're not. But I try to. Well, sometimes it'll say like co-op candy aisle.
Yeah, get dog food.
Yeah,
and then some stupid lyric idea. That's terrible. I mean, mine, not yours. Yours are great.
Shopping for wine gums or something, and all of a sudden I'm looking down the aisle. Is anyone down this aisle? And then I pull my phone out and start singing this melody that I have. And
oh, yeah, totally. I love that.
Anyway, and then what I like to do is I go through that stuff later when I am in that kind of, when I have the energy and the artistic energy to kind of write and stuff and sit down with it. Then that's when I pull it out and look at like, what is the kernel of this song? And then I'll write my verses and things like that. But usually, yeah.
I love that you used a phrase there, like intuitive something or other, intuitive writing or something.
Like intuitive writing, yeah.
Where you just kind of like, yeah, like I'm walking down the street and turn up the light. Oh, there's a melody. And like you decide, you can take whatever nugget and decide to turn up that volume and focus on it and turn it into something. And they're everywhere.
If there's any like Bob's Burgers fans out there, sometimes I feel that like I am like a male Linda Belcher.
Oh yeah, I love Linda.
Avery, yeah, she could definitely attest to this, but I just like to spontaneously break into song at home sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, we come up with these little like jingles, and sometimes we record them, and who knows, like some of them might end up being songs one day. I don't know, but it's fun. Hey, there's this Melanie Barnett question. Let's look at that. So thank you very much for tuning in. You saw me at Kayla's house in Grandview. Wow. Kayla, that's Kayla Lukey. She's one of my favorite Manitoba songwriters. She's fantastic. I played a house concert at her place. Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Taller Than the Trees was the first. So that was the first first Kevin Roy album, 2013. I think I released that. What inspired you to rebrand from Kevin Roy to Mr. K? Yeah, so for 5 years of playing as Kevin Roy, I grew apart from the artistic side of things. I lost even like just Kevin Roy. It's my middle name, and I felt like I wasn't being true to myself with it. I felt like I was trying to be something that I wasn't. I think when I started it out with the Taller Than the Trees, I had I was kind of in my stride off the bat, and like I kind of knew what I wanted to do with it. And then as 5 years went on, I spent too much time booking my shows and touring, and I put myself through the grinder of you know, the road life and the touring, and I think I had like 500 shows and I don't know how many, a few years or whatever it was, like just nonstop on the road touring. And I grew apart from the art. I grew apart from, but more so I grew apart from myself. And yeah, it was darker days when I wrote that song. I was just like, I started playing that one, and then I wrote Game of Hearts, and those two songs I was playing as Kevin Roy. The last tour that I did as Kevin Roy was actually with my wife Avery up in, we went as far as like northern BC. We did some festivals through the summer, and I was playing those two songs already. And the amount of conversations I had with people after shows was just incredible. And it was all just around, usually around those two songs. And I'm just like, this is, I felt like I had something that was a little bit special. I tapped into something that was, you know, more, maybe a little bit more, I connected with what I was doing more in those songs. And so like those songs coming to me kind of breathed new life into me saying, hey, you need to stop what you're doing and reconnect as an artist, write some songs, figure out what it is, who you are, and really be you. And yeah, so
I remember being in the studio and working on Darker Days, and I think that we may have even shared a shed tear moment while those vocals were being. It's just such a moving song and really vulnerable and
it's fragile, right? It's
really fragile, yeah. and it you know, like we were recording it a month after I got out of a very public detox situation for my alcoholism, which I no longer drink. Yay me! And but I remember, yeah, that song hit me like a ton of bricks, just really powerful, and like, hey, we all are fragile is what it's like to me. It's all good. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's raw and it's real, right? And it's I think I saw someone else had a comment when I think I saw, I don't remember where it was or when it was, but something about when Darker Days was being played. Someone I think had a comment about just how, you know, like we've all been there, know someone who's been there, and it's real, and it's good to, you know, it's a good message to share and to talk about, right? Because conversation's most important. Hey, we got some more questions there. Michelle says, nice seeing you, Rusty, and great show, Kevin. Thank you very much. Here, Grant Bowden, are your songs grouped by a theme or thread? How many don't make the album? Yeah, so this album is I like to think of it as kind of like a concept album. I think that is a correct term to use for it. It's kind of the songs are interlaced. A lot of the whole A side is kind of inspired by, I love Abbey Road as a classic album. And I think the first time I heard that, it's like, you can do that. You can make songs kind of work off each other and fade in and out of each other. You don't need 2 seconds of silence between them. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it makes a storyline, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's with Mister K project and with this project, I think that's really what I like to kind of, you know, just kind of transcend that idea of writing, you know, 3.5 second song and then another song, we put them together. And I like the idea of that, like, you can do more with it. You can tell a story. I like bringing the photography into it and all that kind of stuff too. And like, so the themes with this record, like, it definitely starts kind of it's a little bit of some of my own journey weaved in there. You know, there's no set characters and stuff, but there's definitely a theme through there of, you know, grinding out and hardship and kind of getting yourself, you know, wearing yourself really thin, burning that candle at both ends, and then kind of feeling that, you know, that anxiety and that depression, that whatever it is kind of settling in, and then that just like complete, just kind of giving up of, you know, I just need to sleep. I just need to go to another place and awake a new, you know, like this, what's the word, what's it called when moths or when caterpillars go into their cocoons and come out as
metamorphosis?
Metamorphosis. Avery, the science teacher, I was expecting to hear metamorphosis from the other room. No, she's just laughing at me.
Yeah, the record themes as a whole, for me, it just feels like it's like the human experience. It's like you've been broken down and you're rebuilding, and like you've woken up in this empty room that is Earth, and you have to look around and go, what are those people like, and why are they scary, and why
Yeah, man.
It goes from happiness to sadness to harmony to
and I think
let's party.
I think it was you that kind of coined that pendulum kind of analogy of like the pendulum swung through the hardship of darker days or something is the line that was used, and like it's exactly that. I think you nailed it. How many don't make the album? How many songs don't make the album? This album, there was a handful that didn't make it. I don't know the exact number. There was a few, but I don't know. I've got a lot of songs that haven't been released that are, that exist as voice memos. Some of them exist as more produced demos. Some of them existed as like Kevin Roy songs from back in the day. And anything that I've ever written has been, I will keep as fair game. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to give a set answer on how many don't make the album. I definitely brought a few extras for sure that I would have shared with you that didn't make it. But if it doesn't make it, it just goes into the catalog of unreleased stuff that will be there for potential pickings in the future. So in a singles world, do you still write with a full album in mind? I definitely do. I definitely respect the single, and I understand the importance of singles, and I respect the single for sure, but that doesn't excite me to just write singles. I'm excited I like telling stories, and whether it's through talking it out or writing it into music, I just like that idea of pieces to a bigger puzzle, and a single can exist within that puzzle.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm thinking about cheeseburger analogies in my head.
Your mind's on cheeseburgers.
I was thinking of singles as like Big Macs, and I'm like, in my head, but we're always going to need fancy burgers as well that don't just hit you with delicious right away. You have to earn it and learn about the flavor profiles.
Yeah, man. Mark Bleask. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Mark. Mark is for those of you who don't know me, I'm a shops teacher as well. I teach high school shops, and Mark is a wonderful mentor of mine. He builds canoes and paddles and really got me into that world. So thanks for tuning in, Mark. Long way from the bear pit at Lockport School. Love following your journey. Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. If you've seen the music video for the Game of Hearts with the canoeing and all that, that's some of Mark's craftsmanship. Nice. All the hand carved paddles and stuff. If you've ever seen any paddle work or photos in my photography, Mark is the person I apprenticed with, and really talented.
That's all beautiful stuff. Yeah,
really talented guy, and right on. Yeah, well, if there's any other last questions or anything, or I'm trying to see if there's any that we missed here. How do you, we didn't get that one there, Killarney Mark. How do you decide the order of tracks on an album? And I mean, I think that goes back to that last question of, telling the story. And I didn't plan on writing this album as a kind of a concept off the bat, but once you start seeing a few of the songs and how they play together, it's something that a process I think is super important, and I really respect that process as well as the single, right? It's telling a story, but also delivering songs that can be heard as standalone tracks as well. So there's definitely some time spent on that, making sure that the songs weaved in and out each other properly. I think that was kind of one of our last steps that we did, was making sure we figured out kind of how the bleed would work between tracks.
That's one of the most fun things to do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those transitions. Hey, I just want to say before Grant Bowden goes away. Hey, Grant, do you know who that is? Is that a person from Winnipeg who's just in Mexico right now?
I don't know who Grant Bowden is, I don't think.
Well, I think it's cool that we were just hanging out with somebody in Mexico. So
that is super cool, yeah.
Have a good night, Grant Bowden.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And man, I'd love to tour down in Mexico right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to just be kind of anywhere, but
some non-alcoholic cervezas. That'd be awesome.
And I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to get out and be able to play these songs and meet some of these people. And I think if I'm gonna wrap up with anything, I just want to say that it's been a bit of a weird experience releasing music from behind a screen, and there's definitely been highs and lows to that Avery could, my wife, could attest to. It's nothing can replace, I don't think, that energy exchange of a live show, that playing on a stage and feeding off of an audience, and an audience kind of getting into the, nothing will replace that as much as you want. But you know what, the response to these songs and the response to this record has just been, it's been truly incredible. I mean, everything from, nice messages people have been sending me to, I just want to point right back here. There's a lovely painting of a fox back there that I received. Somebody mailed me an artist, Sylvia Russell is her name. She's a talented painter, and so it was kind of a collaborative piece. She painted that from the Harmony music video, and she was inspired by it so much to paint a painting and send it to me, and I was absolutely just stunned, and so grateful for the wonderful gestures that some people have been doing and making to, it really fills the cup of that void.
I hear that, man. I hear that.
So I really appreciate everybody, everyone who tuned in, and everyone who's been following this journey so far. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Kevin, and great show, man.
I really appreciate it, Rusty, and thank you also for joining us tonight and taking the time to help me out here. I can't wait to jump in that studio. Maybe we could. Do you have a name for that studio yet?
It's the Space Bunker, I guess.
Space Bunker, right on. Yeah. Well, I would love to. When we can start making some music down there, and
let's get going.
Yeah, man. Right on. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. It's been a real pleasure playing for you. Thanks for checking out the record. If you're interested in picking up an actual copy, heyMrK.com. That's HEY, Mr. K spelled out.com. And you can hit up the store. I'm actually giving away for the albums right now I still have some calendars left over. So anyone who buys an album while calendar supplies last, I'll toss in a calendar for you and some postcards and stuff like that for the price of the album. So thanks for checking it out, and I hope to see you all very soon. Stay safe, be well, and thanks so much for listening. Let's keep in touch.
Good night, Kev.
Okay, take care, Rusty. See you later.
Started in the shadows of a cone-bearing tree when I took you by your little hand. Was it pine, cedar, spruce, fir, or tamarack? I never really understand. You said the answer's in